I think we're live.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, it's good to be back on stream again. Feel I feel lately we've had a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff we've been working on. I think particularly for me, I've been spending a lot of time painting the old hammer halfling to try and finish it before the end of the month for the Olden Demon competition. And in many regards I should probably be painting now because I don't have too much time left to finish painting said model. Though, I guess that being said, the model's almost finished, and it's
Mm-hmm.
largely just dealing with details and tidying things up, so that's something.
Yeah.
And I guess Eric, you just posted a new post on the blog talking about like an old hammer model that you've recently finished.
Yeah, no, it's just another rogue trader, um, Dark Angel that uh finally got around to painting.
Yeah, it's really interesting looking at the Rogue Trader Space Marines. They're not uniform at all. There's so much variety and weirdness and asymmetry and just them playing around with different designs and ideas that you don't really see at all anymore with Space Marines and all that stuff. The uniformity in design is it's very consistent, and I assume Games Workshop sort of want to keep it that way. But here, they change in scale, size, shape, their helmet shape, even among, say, the beaky helmets, differs tremendously, and it's kind of interesting. I feel they also just released so many different models as well that I feel just about every other day I see a new Oldhammer Space Marine that I've never seen before. And I feel I have seen a lot of them. And I mean we have a fair number of them too.
Yeah, I feel it was probably they're just were sculpted really quickly, maybe by multiple people. And since it was all done by hand, like it was hard to have helmets, uniform, and things of that nature. But I
Yeah.
feel, uh, despite that, or they are very different in their
Yeah.
look. Like they're not lens. Their eye lenses are of different sizes, different shapes, even though they're still
At a
supposed to
different
be Mark
part on
6.
their head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And on top of that, their weapons are also they also differ a lot. Like I feel on this new one that you painted, they might have one of my favorite like looking weapons that they've designed. It doesn't really look like a bolter a whole lot. It looks more like they sculpted a rudimentary M16 and then just chopped off most of the barrel and said that's good enough.
Yeah, no, I think that is exactly what
Which I kind of
that's
love it.
exactly
That's what
it.
they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of love it. And I mean, guess I have two of them here that Greg and we will need to paint them eventually. Yeah, wow, they're very different and very cool. And it's neat seeing different painters pack all the models and do paint them in say, more modern styles and techniques with newer modern paints. I know some people have been tackling the Olden Demon Challenge by actually using paints from that era, and I feel if I had enough of those paints, maybe I would have done that as well. But at this point, I feel maybe only 5 or 6 of the paints that I had from back then are still usable. So I've used a little of those colors, but they're kind of a weird
Our boy
range of
Bill's in the
colors.
chat here. Hey,
Whoa.
Bill.
Oh, hey Bill. And as much as I love Bad Moon Yellow, it's so bright, you just can't use it for much.
Doesn't War Colors make a
Yes,
set of them? And I think they may have updated their pots a little bit to kind of look more like
they
those
did.
old
And
paints, like their
honestly,
labels and stuff.
a month ago, I actually considered buying one of the paint sets with Goblin Green just to try them, but I decided against it because I didn't know quite how long the shipping and stuff would take. But I feel, had I actually ordered it when I was considering it, at the very least I would have had the Goblin Green paint to paint the base, which in some regards, that's one of the most important colors. Or it's certainly
Yeah, it's true.
one of the
To, like,
most
really
iconic and unmistakable paint. Yeah. So as I said earlier, I've been working on the halfling, the Rattling Sniper, which was one of the first models we've ever painted. It was the first model we ever purchased, and I don't quite remember when we painted those original 3 models. It was relatively early in our painting career because they were really bad, and to flock the bases, we just glued what I think was sawdust that was stained a bright green to the bases.
Looks horrible.
And then obviously, since that was sawdust that was stained, like the green would sometimes like leach out onto the base, like fucking awful.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
it
not
real bad. Not
a
great.
great
Yeah.
not a great effort on our part. But I mean, I guess we were young and dumb, or I mean, not necessarily dumb, but it's just like there weren't really that
We were working with
much
what we had.
information. There wasn't a Games Workshop close to give
No.
us, like, this is the flocking you should use. So like we got, like, I feel the cheapest stuff that we thought that we could find that was somewhat close from like a model train shop. And
Turns out that's not a good fit for models.
yeah, not actually a good choice, but who knew? Not us.
Yeah.
Or I mean, honestly, we had to have known that this doesn't look the best, but it's what we had.
No, yeah, I'm confident that once we glued them on the base, it's like, well, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, we have this. We
But
have this.
pretty awful. Like, I know when we post, probably sometime tomorrow, we'll post the finished pictures of the model, and this one will be standing beside one or probably both of the other models that we got at the time that are still in that original scheme. You can tell I painted the flesh like one of their flat flesh tones, and then I gave it what I believe a wash of what they called flesh wash at the time, and I didn't even apply a uniform coat of the flesh wash over the skin, because they're just big swashes of it that have nothing, and then others that have. So it looks. It's pretty rough.
Pretty amazing.
Gosh, it's bad. And then.
I don't know. It's just amazing how different it was back then. How much
Yeah.
less information was available. How there just weren't as many paints as well. Like you didn't really have choices. I mean, I guess there were probably some Vallejo ones at the time, but not anywhere that like we had access to.
No, yeah, the only paints we had were the GW ones that we specifically bought, or the apple barrel paint from like the craft shop or something. And honestly, we probably would have had better luck with the apple barrel paint.
That's a quality paint.
It is a quality paint.
I mean, honestly, I'm sure my guess is it's something that some are okay, some are bad, and
Yeah. That's
But-
certainly true. Apple barrel. God damn.
I just I haven't really been watching the stream much, but I just updated the post to have slightly better images
Okay.
that weren't quite as exposed or overexposed, I feel.
Well, I'm pretty sure the apple barrel paint. I know there were some. There were a bunch of painters, like maybe. I don't know if they're still painting, but do people remember Commander Y?
Yeah.
I think he, at least for some of his models, would use apple barrel paint.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
remember.
guess
You
at
have
that
one of his
time-
models, right, Adam?
Yeah, we have one of. It's like a Wood Elf Lord that he
Yeah.
painted.
I guess it was also just at that time there weren't that many options. So like if you wanted a particular paint or something,
Mhm.
that is, what you could do.
Well, I've found that like I tend to use very few GW paints now, but I feel almost sometimes I'll be watching like a YouTube video or see something on Instagram where people paint something some way using GW paint, and it's like, and that will inspire me like, oh, I should like go out and try and find some of those paints. I feel almost every single time I've done that, the store that I go to does not have those paints. Those are like the only ones they don't have. And I mean, I feel the store that I go to is probably one of, if not the largest hobby shop in Maryland. Certainly one of them, and they never have them.
Yeah, Greg actually, the Memorial Day weekend, I was at home and Greg had his collection of old paints and he just gave them to me.
Oh,
And it
sick.
has like a bunch of the Citadel flesh paints that, like Rakarth flesh, Pallid Witch flesh,
Mm-hmm.
and Kislev flesh, which I don't think I had any of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll use them a ton, but I feel the Citadel ones aren't a bad thing to have in the sense that if you see a painting guide somewhere, they often are GW paints.
I think a lot of the Citadel flesh paints are pretty good. I think
Yeah, so
a lot of them work well together. You can mix them pretty well and they fit together. Also, this Hobbit, or not, I guess Rattling Sniper, most of his flesh was painted with GW flesh paints.
did I give you?
You gave me Bugman's Glow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you?
That
use
was the one that I
Is
didn't
useful?
have. That was one of the ones that I like, oh, I'll go buy that, and they obviously didn't have it.
Yeah. Did you use it in this one? Was it like
I'm pretty sure I did, yeah.
that's cool?
And so like I was happy with how they worked. I know some flesh paints, like Scale 75, they have a whole bunch of flesh paints. They even have a paint set with just flesh tones. And I found a lot of those paints similar to some like whites and stuff like that. They have a tendency to become a little chalky. And they don't. And that can be a little off putting when you're trying to paint skin tones and stuff like that. I don't know if that's because I was using them wrong, but like I think I've heard other people dealing with things like this with some of those paints. I haven't really seen that with at least most of GW's flesh tones and stuff like that. So yeah, I think they're pretty good. It's just I haven't used them for years. Until I guess this model here, and I feel I'm pretty happy with them. And they have a whole range of very dark and very light colors, which I think tend to work pretty well. Painting the skin on this model was interesting. His face is pretty hidden, which I think kind of makes it a little trickier. I thought it would be easy because there's so little of it, but well, I think that did help with some things. It hurt. It was hard. So the darker pigment apple barrel paints work well. I wonder, do you think we still have some of the apple barrel paints?
Possibly.
I imagine so.
Yeah, we'll have to look for them.
Before we forget, we should mention Statuesque Miniatures Cloth Goblin Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
If people haven't backed that, get on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I
I did.
imagine it's a relatively short Kickstarter, or
Yeah, his are always short. Andrew's are always short.
Yeah, there's not too much time. Yeah, 4 days to go.
Get on it. I did.
They're
You
amazing.
should too. I got on it for 10 cloth goblins. Do I need 10 cloth goblins? No. But I think maybe it's only like $32.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap.
Not very expensive.
All of Andrew's Kickstarters and stuff, they're very simple, straight to the point. They
And I
typically
hear you asking, what would you use them for? Well, certainly for the new Forbidden Psalmist game that Andrew Winberry is making called Childhood.
they would be
That's the
perfect for
perfect-
that.
yeah,
Maybe I
Alex
pronounced Alex. Did I say
Winberg. I think
Andrew?
it's something like that. I mean, it looks like Winberg to my American eyes, but that's not the finished pronunciation.
Yeah.
Regardless, he's like one of the chief people behind 28 and the Echoes of Imperium blog, but he's
Mhm.
working with the writer of Forbidden Psalm and
His name's
Pierre
Will,
Mortel
right?
to create RPG, or I guess it's more of a miniature game.
It's a miniature game, yeah. Like Forbidden Psalm. I think it's kind of using
Yeah,
I feel a lot of Andrew's models will work really well for that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And I also, anytime, if you need goblins for anything, these are probably your best choice.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be easier to paint. They'll have a nice weight to them. Yeah.
Yeah, and the cool thing, Andrew from Statuesque Miniatures, he still insists on having all of his models cast in white metal.
Love it.
Fucking legend.
Yeah, I agree. I really like them like that.
He did an
I think you can also get
ST
yeah.
Minotaur dude, which I wish that he cast him in metal and not just put the STL up.
Yeah. You can also on the Kickstarter just get the STL, so like you can print as many of them as you want if you have a printer.
That's fun.
Yeah, so that's cool.
That's not what we want, though.
Yeah. I want
we
nothing
want
of
those
that.
nicely
We want a whole legion of cloth
cast.
goblins.
Because yeah, he always does a really good job of them being very well cast too. So
Yeah, they're really nice.
One of the most unique miniature lines out there.
Yeah, I agree. They're just so lovable. I love them.
I guess other Kickstarters, the miniature company that made the Morkborg miniatures, they have a Kickstarter. I don't think it's launched yet, but it's launching soon, of interesting, creepy boss sort of characters.
That sounds
Now,
fun.
I'm trying to think of the name of that.
Well, there's also another Kickstarter that's gonna end soon called Dungeon Dwellers that forget who sculpted them, but I've seen them
they're
around
cool.
on Black Scorpion Miniatures is putting them out. But they have a whole bunch of really cool models that I feel could fit with all sorts of stuff for Dungeons and Dragons or Age of Sigmar and whatnot. And I think the models have a lot of them have really nice sensibilities. A lot of their weapons are a little smaller. Their hands and feet are well scaled. And I think a lot of them would work really well for Mordheim as well. I really like them.
I like the Dungeon Keeper with his sword and his torch.
Yeah, I think, fits Mordheim so well. And I feel you could convert the model a little bit if you wanted to change weapon, other stuff, and would work really well too. So this is another cool Kickstarter that you could
so
get
many
in on.
Kickstarters.
Yeah. It's true.
Westphalia is the name of the miniature company.
Okay.
Their website kind of sucks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, it's neat to see you having almost finished painting that model. It looks really good, Adam. Cool to see it in such, like, so nice.
You know, I'll be pretty jammed to have some pictures of the model standing by the other two old models. It's kind of a good like look into how far things have come, at least in my hobby journey. Oh yeah, these, check it out on Kickstarter. These models are, do they have, some of them look really rad.
I'm sure they're on their Instagram page.
Has the Kickstarter started for that? Is that the...
No, I don't think it started
Yeah, I
yet.
feel it's been kind of shown, like the models have been sort of teased, I guess.
Like some of them, my gosh, very cool helmets and horns and other stuff. Like, I really like them. At least some of them. Yeah, wow, they're cool. Yeah, so lots of things to consider. Lots of things to consider. I guess after I finish painting this one model here, I have to get back to sculpting my own goblin. Yeah, I had started sculpting this little goblin for 28 magazine, which I guess that's another shout out. Volume 5
yeah,
of
it's
28
true.
has finally been released, and in that it talks a little bit about upcoming line of miniatures and stuff being released by 28. And so if I can finish sculpting this goblin and they are to my liking, they will hopefully be available in the future to buy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty soon some orcs sculpted for that line are gonna be released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, getting a goblin sculpted would be amazing, Adam.
Yeah. No, it'll be a good learning experience, and the little that I've done on it so far, it already has been. But sculpting's tough. It's very much something that I think you need a lot of patience and
I think you can already sculpt better than a bunch of people that are releasing models on the market today.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, I feel it's still a lot of work and stuff to learn though, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of happy I took for that Dark Angel post today. I took some photos with the model on a piece of like essentially terrain that Totally Not Panicking had sent us, and
Mm-hmm.
it just makes me realize how we should really create some terrain to take pictures of models
Yeah.
on. Like I think it would add something. I mean, I still like having nice quote unquote studio shots
Mm-hmm.
of just the model with like a gray background, which just show what the model is, but I still think it is also cool to kind of put them in a scene per se.
No, yeah, I think that adds a lot, and it helps kind of build atmosphere and character and whatnot.
Yeah, no, and I actually took the photos with a new lens for my camera that I recently got, partially in hopes to in the future go into like gaming events and stuff that will hopefully allow me to take some better photos in the future for I don't know the stuff we go to, because often the lighting at convention like stuff isn't ideal. Like it's not studio lighting to any capacity. And so hopefully it'll help.
Yeah.
But it's a real big lens if you see, I don't know, holding it up here. I
Oh,
don't know
that
if
is
that's
pretty
visible.
big. Almost looks like a telephoto lens or something.
Yeah, I mean it is a zoom lens, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like more of a mid-range zoom with like a wide angle and then to goes to like a short telephoto. Um but the good thing about it is it maintains like a f2.8 aperture throughout the entire focal range, so it can let in a bunch of light and still maintain that. So rather than having to get a bunch of like prime lenses between
Mm-hmm.
that sort of standard focal range, it's they're still good with allowing the more light and so forth. So I'm kind of excited to try that out. Um, but I mean, at the moment, any pictures I'm gonna take, I will at least try to have the lighting be okay. But
Yeah.
Well,
still don't
this
have the best setup for even that.
This weekend, Eric and I were going to Cadabra Records is putting on their first little festival
That's cool.
celebrating literary horror fiction, where they're doing a bunch of live performances reading Ligotti and Ed Eduardo or what's his
Eduardo
name?
Rampo.
Yeah, and
It's,
some Thomas Ligotti stories. Gonna be awesome.
yeah, no, so I'll bring this along, and I
Yeah.
don't know, I'll probably still try to bring along a Flash, but it looks like it's in a pretty big, like, sort of concert hall, so we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll write some stuff about it for at least my music blog.
That's neat. So I guess, is there anything worth talking about on Warhammer Community?
I don't think there's a ton. I mean, we could mention a little bit in not wildly relevant, but there's a lot of video game stuff happening now, including, I guess they
System
just
Shock
released.
remake?
What was that?
A System Shock remake that's apparently pretty good.
Huh, I don't know.
Like
Oh, I heard a little
System
bit about that. Is
Shock?
that actually a real thing?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was more just saying that they released Bolt Gun, like an
Has anyone
old.
played that?
I
I
played
played
it.
2 levels.
I
I've
played
heard
maybe 3
mixed
or 4.
things about it.
It's
It
fun.
seems pretty good. Admittedly, I did read at least one review that thought the developers didn't quite understand the genre and how you make like a good arena sort of showdown. And I admit it I mean I haven't played it a ton, but I kind of see what they mean. Like
Okay.
most of the game is fun, you're having a good time. Then you like run into a room and see all these power-ups strewn across and it's like, ah fuck. Like this is gonna be one of their arena things where they just randomly keep or I mean I assume it's not random, but they keep
Yeah.
spawning all these enemies and you have to run around shooting them until it's over and at some point you like, oh god, I don't have any health, so you're just sprinting around trying to find meager power-ups to not die,
Yeah, okay.
and then you die, and then you have to do it again.
That sounds pretty fun.
So like I mean, already gotten to a point that I've died a couple times, and I feel like I may just never play again.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So, and it makes me think about how Doom 2016, I feel they sort of, I mean, first of all, they understand that sort of level design like id pretty well, so
Yeah.
but even in spite of that, they also introduced the melee system in which if you melee like the finishing melee move type thing, it gives you HP for doing that. And that was such a good system because it forces you to always be like aggressively playing the game. And so if
Yeah.
you're almost dead, like you don't run away from the battle and hope you can find a power up somewhere. You just go straight to the throat. And
Rip and
that
tear.
really helps you feel like kind of powerful and frantic,
Mm-hmm.
but still succeeding. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel this is, I'm just going to say more traditional, like the older style that, yeah, they're just lines of power ups for like 1 HP and 1 armor or something. And like you're almost dead. So you're just running around trying to collect enough that you can
Yeah.
maybe survive, but it's not enough. And then you die. And yeah, so.
That's sick.
And I guess Doom Eternal, which was the follow up to 2016, they changed it even more based on like different types of moves would give you uh ammo or health or
Mm-hmm.
maybe armor too, which so it really sort of changed how you approach battles, which
Yeah.
I think was good. I still kind of felt Doom 2016 was just generally more fun. I mean, I beat 2016 and not the other one, so if that means anything, I don't
It
know.
doesn't, Eric. Well, it kind of
Does
does,
for me.
actually. Because the newer Doom came out during the pandemic when you probably had even more time to play it.
Yeah,
I didn't have any more time.
Yeah.
But there's a remake of the original System Shock, not System Shock 2, the original System Shock.
That's cool. I never played any of
It
them.
was released today, this very day.
Whoa.
didn't a bunch of people, or didn't like, I'm just gonna say Bethesda or someone associated with Bethesda, kind of make a spiritual successor to System Shock?
I think
I
that's
mean, all the
true.
BioShock games were
Uh,
Chris Levin or whatever his name is trying to make things
yeah,
as cool as System Shock, but they didn't have the IP, so they made BioShock.
yeah, okay.
That's my
Well,
vague
because
remembrance of it.
then they also made a couple versions of Prey, one of
Mm-hmm.
which I think was kind of like Turok in a way, but another one, a newer one, was more like System Shock. Like, I feel there's been a lot of stuff in and around that, but this is actually System Shock. Like, is a
Yes.
true remake.
Yes.
That's cool. Maybe I'll have to look into it and not play it.
Yeah, it would be something even better to look into and certainly not play would be Street Fighter 6 that was just released or is about to be released.
Was it
Seriously?
released?
Yeah, it's coming out, or it's been getting rave reviews.
Aw, damn.
Has it
So,
really?
yeah, it's supposedly like the best new thing,
Fuck.
like the good fighting game. It's oh, I guess it's June 2nd, but supposedly it's like really good. Good system. Whereas like 4 was excellent. I think 5 people were kind of underwhelmed with, at least initially. It sounds like this is just real good.
God damn, I'm interested in that.
You see, to me, this is the sort of thing that fighting games have always interested me, and I would want to get
I'm not
like I'm not gonna
invested
say get
enough
good.
to really.
Yeah, but I just don't have the patience to actually learn the systems and the move
I sure
set
don't.
and get timings down to do the
I mean,
counters
I don't
and
even have the patience to play Bolt Gun or
yeah.
any game, much less a nuanced fighting game where like you earnestly have to put in time and
It's I think there's a single player mode that you actually create your own character and like go around the semi open world thing and
Damn.
maybe train with the actual Street Fighter characters to like kind of learn their move sets or something. So it seems like they actually made some efforts to like add something somewhat new to the game as well as the system and stuff is all different. So yeah, regardless,
Hmm.
Capcom, I feel Capcom this year is just running on all cylinders. Like they
what else
Street
have they put
Fighter
out?
6 is excellent.
Remake
The
of
Resident
Resident
Evil
Evil 4.
4 remake was the
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. I kind of feel there's a couple other things that, or a thing or two that they've done. Maybe they hadn't. Well, I don't know. But regardless, I think they're doing pretty well. Oh, I think they might have. Their. Well,
Breath of the
that's not.
Wild. The new Breath of the Wild. Wink, wink.
Oh yeah, that was released. It's good.
I was trying to make a joke that Capcom
But yeah,
released
that's
that.
not Capcom, obviously. That's obviously. But then Diablo 4, are people ready to go to hell?
When's
When
that
is
being released? Or has it already been released?
Maybe it's early June. Maybe
Damn.
Friday, maybe
Fuck.
Monday.
I'm
I'm
not
not
ready
ready.
for that.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But maybe I
Early
should
access
be.
begins Friday. Oh
This
man,
Friday.
if you upgrade to the digital, deluxe, or ultimate editions, you can play before release date. God,
It's probably by
Blizzard.
like 24 hours or some shit. It's like,
I think it's released on Monday.
does that, does anyone care? Like, how could anyone care? I mean, I
I
guess
feel
people
like some
do.
people do care, but
Okay,
like
yeah. So
me, I cannot.
it looks like it's on the 6th, but if you spend extra,
My
you can
God.
play on Friday and through the weekend, which I mean, I guess if you're really excited, that could be somewhat cool, but I assume the upgrade is stupid cosmetic bullshit
Yeah.
and a soundtrack that like just doesn't
Like,
matter.
fuck off.
And it will result in all the super fans will come on to play when the servers all crash and suck. Um
I mean, that's pretty cool if you ask me.
Although
That's
with
pretty
that
sick.
said, it's probably good they're doing it. Other than, I mean, the fact that they're charging for that seems kind of stupid. But maybe it will allow them to get an extra patch or two
Hmm.
out and get the servers more stable once it's
Yeah.
the true release date occurs. But even if they do to some extent, I'm sure it will still be a shit show
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
actual release.
Yeah. Well, Greg, Eric, I think, are you fine with ending the stream now so I can get back to painting?
Yeah.
Sure
Yeah.
am.
Well, I guess it's been fun to actually be back to stream for a little bit. We will hopefully be a little more regular now in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thanks for listening to us ramble on about things. We will talk to you again soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep on enjoying the hobby. Over and
Yep.
out.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, see ya.